Today 23 March 2025 I will running with Marcel Dan Marcel and Robert Kesky and MC Ken McAndoy Tom Will Guy also billionaire that I will learn from them
นอนก่อนนอนแล้ว
ไอเชียร์เสียงดังไม่เป็นไรนะเฮ้ยทำไมรหัสเข้าคอมไม่ได้ต้องเป็นภาษาอังกฤษโอเค time to eat Nice to meet you everyone
The truth is, successful people don't rely on discipline or willpower to be more productive. But these are the rules that they follow that allow them to get done even when they don't feel like it. They're the same rules I use to go from an unproductive ADHD mess to an insanely productive $100 million CEO. So without further explaining it, these are the 8 productivity rules of the top 1%. Rule number 1, design versus default. The whole philosophy I live by is design your life over defaulting to it. See, when I got diagnosed with ADHD at 12 years old, I honestly thought there was something broken with me. And I went my whole life on medication and struggling with, taking this pill that made me completely different. And then at 36 years old, I decided I didn't want to take it anymore. The problem was that I became so dependent on it. If I didn't take it, I couldn't get anything done. Like literally couldn't process email or do anything that looked like financials. And through process with a friend. I reduced my dosing. I focused on my habits. I figured out that there was a lot of stuff that I wasn't doing that if I added to my life, it would allow me to show up as me without the downside. And it wasn't easy, but it took discipline. It took designing it. And most people just live their life as almost like, that's who I am, that's how it is, and that's their default. That's not how it has to be. If you lack discipline, build a life that doesn't require it. So here's a few things I do that's very different than anybody else that allows me to get more done focusing on discipline. First off, I schedule most of everything I do with other people. Why? It turns out I will do more for somebody else than I'll do for myself. If I have a commitment to go work out, if I have a commitment to a work session, when I have somebody else involved, I'll 100% show up. If it's just me, sometimes I'll drag my feet, sometimes I'll cancel it. Having other people to make a commitment to is a big game changer. The second part is I plan my perfect week. It's a framework I teach in my book, Buy Back Your Time. And the whole idea is to start with the big priorities. Look at the reoccurring items. Look at the meeting rhythms. Look at your goals and ensure that the week is aligned with the goals. Because if you don't, then you're just going through the motions. You're not moving anything forward. By doing it that way, you do the work even if you're not motivated or overwhelmed. And it helps you stay focused on the things when you're motivated and not let yourself get overwhelmed. The other thing I do is batch work. You know, essentially I look at different days of the week and I theme them to focus on content or creation or businesses that are all similar, because most people think that they can do context switching. They think that they can go from like one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, and it turns out you suck at it. If you just look at like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all the way to 26, and then doing the same thing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H all the way till Z, you can do that quite fast. Most people can do it about 6 seconds. If you go 1, A, 2, B, 3, C, onward, a minute plus. So right off the bat, the math does the math. And that's why my favorite thing to tell people is batch the work and focus, which stands for follow one course until successful, meaning do similar type of work and focus on it so you have the same energy and get it all done at your highest level. Another area is for me is manage your energy. I don't believe you manage time, you actually manage energy. When I wake up in the morning, my ability to connect to my creator and design and think and problem solve, it's at the highest level. So when I wake up, I have a morning ritual that I follow to allow me to produce and create my best work. I don't save that till I'm tired in the afternoon. In the afternoon, I schedule meetings because I love being with people and it energizes me. So I always look at right time, right action. Throughout my day, there's certain types of work that I'm gonna put and insert so that it gets the right type of energy that I've got for that activity. So that's why I'll even split up my day with workouts so that I can reset my energy so I come into the next meeting focused. If you ask me to talk about the thing that had the biggest impact around designing my life versus the default reaction, it's understanding my calendar design creates my reality. So if you only use this, you'll be ahead of like 99% of the people. But if you want my template for the perfect week, I'll tell you where to get it at the end. The problem is that you're probably struggling with discipline, and that isn't enough, which is where rule number 2 comes in. Build your habits. When I started in business, I used to think getting into flow state was something that happened randomly. Some like magical moment throughout my week where I'm like, oh my God, it was like I was working and I felt connected. It was the best thing I ever did. And it wouldn't happen for a while. And I'd be like, oh, why am I struggling so hard to get into work? But then I learned you can actually make it happen by design, and it all comes down to your habits. One of my philosophies around this is your habits determine your future. So all I gotta do is look at what you do every day, and I will tell you what your future will look like. The crazy part about being in flow state is that when you're in it, it feels like you can do anything. I mean, you don't have a desire to go to the bathroom, you're not hungry, it gives you energy because you're focused on a task and using parts of your brain which is familiar and you know how to do it, but at the same time it's stretching you. And then building the habits that precede it. It's just like shooting content. Before I shoot content, I have a whole process that I use to get into the energy of communicating. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to come consistently to shoot and to share with you. The way I think about habits is I break them down into 2 things: rituals and triggers. And those things can help you get into flow. So for example, in my home, I have this specific chair that I use to trigger me to vision. When I sit in that chair, it's this beautifully positioned place where I'm overlooking the city that I live in, and I'm allowing myself to dream. That chair has become a trigger. Another example is my ritual around working that I need to put headphones on. I usually put EDM music with no words. I want the beat there so it keeps my mind focused, but that ritual, when I do deep work, allows me to get into flow a lot faster. You can use location as triggers. It's like when you walk The truth is, successful people don't rely on discipline or willpower to be more productive. But these are the rules that they follow that allow them to get done even when they don't feel like it. They're the same rules I use to go from an unproductive ADHD mess to an insanely productive $100 million CEO. So without further explaining it, these are the 8 productivity rules of the top 1%. Rule number 1, design versus default. The whole philosophy I live by is design your life over defaulting to it. See, when I got diagnosed with ADHD at 12 years old, I honestly thought there was something broken with me. And I went my whole life on medication and struggling with, taking this pill that made me completely different. And then
default.
at 36 years old, I decided I didn't want to take it anymore. The problem was that I became so dependent on it. If I didn't take it, I couldn't get anything done. Like literally couldn't process email or do anything that looked like financials. And through a process with a friend, I reduced my dosing. I focused on my habits. I figured out that there was a lot of stuff that I wasn't doing that if I added to my life, it would allow me to show up as me without the downside. And it wasn't easy, but it took discipline. It took designing it. And most people just live their life as almost like, that's who I am, that's how it is, and that's their default. That's not how it has to be. If you lack discipline, build a life that doesn't require it. So here's a few things I do that has to be. If you lack discipline, build a life that doesn't require it. So here's a few things I do that's very different than anybody else that allows me to get more done, focusing on discipline. First off, I schedule most of everything I do with other people. Why? It turns out I will do more for somebody else than I'll do for myself. If I have a commitment to go work out, if I have a commitment to a work session, when I have somebody else involved, I'll 100% show up. If it's just me, sometimes I'll drag my feet, sometimes I'll cancel it. Having other people to make a commitment to is a big game changer. Second part is I plan my perfect week. It's a framework I do. Is this me? Sometimes I'll drag my feet. Sometimes I'll cancel it. Having other people to make a commitment to is a big game changer. Second part is I plan my perfect week. It's a framework I teach in my book, Buy Back Your Time. And the whole idea is to start with the big priorities. Look at the reoccurring items. Look at the meeting rhythms. Look at your goals and ensure that the week is aligned with the goals. Because if you don't, then you're just going through the motions. You're not moving anything forward. By doing it that way, you do the work even if you're not motivated or overwhelmed. And it helps you stay focused on the things when you're motivated and not let yourself get overwhelmed. The other thing I do is batch work. Essentially I look at different days of the week and I theme them to a focus on content or creation or business. That are all similar because most people think that they can do context switching. They think that they can go from like one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, and it turns out you suck at it. If you just look at like counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all the way to 26, and then doing the same thing A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H all the way till Z, you can do that quite fast. Most people can do it about 6 seconds. If you go 1, A, 2, B, 3, C, onward, a minute plus. So right off the bat, the math does the math. And that's why my favorite thing to tell people is batch the work and focus, which stands for follow one course until successful, meaning do similar type of work and focus on it so you have the same energy and get it all done at your highest level. Another area is for me is manage your energy. I don't believe you manage time, you actually manage energy. When I wake up in the morning, my ability to connect with my creator and design and think and problem solve, it's at the highest level. Because when I wake up, I have a morning ritual that I follow to allow me to produce and create my best work. I don't save that till I'm tired in the afternoon. In the afternoon, I schedule meetings because I love being with people and it energizes me. So I always look at right time, right action. Throughout my day, there's certain types of work that I'm going to put and insert so that it gets the right type of energy that I've got for that activity. So that's why I'll even split up my day with workouts so that I can reset my energy so I come into the next meeting focused. If you ask me to talk about the thing that had the biggest impact around designing my life versus the default reaction, it's understanding my calendar design creates my reality. So if you only use this, you'll be ahead of like 99% of the people. But if you want my template for the perfect week, I'll tell you where to get it at the end. The problem is that you're probably struggling with discipline. And that isn't enough, which is where rule number 2 comes in. Build your habits. When I started in business, I used to think getting into flow state was something that happened randomly. Some like magical moment throughout my week where I'm like, oh my God, it was like I was working and I felt connected. It was the best thing I ever did. And it wouldn't happen for a while. And I'd be like, oh, why am I struggling so hard to get into work? But then I learned you can actually make it happen by design, and it all comes down to your habits. One of my philosophies around this is your habits determine your future. So all I gotta do is look at what you do every day, and I will tell you what your future will look like. The crazy part about being in flow state is that when you're in it, it feels like you can do anything. I mean, you don't have a desire to go to the bathroom, you're not hungry, it gives you energy because you're focused on a task and using parts of your brain which is familiar and you know how to do it, but at the same time it's stretching you. And then building the habits that precede it. It's just like shooting content. Before I shoot content, I have a whole process that I use to get into the energy of communicating. If I didn't, I wouldn't be able to come consistently to shoot and to share with you. The way I think about habits is I break them down into 2 things: rituals and triggers. And those things can help you get into flow. So for example, in my home, I have this specific chair that I use to trigger me to vision. When I sit in that chair, it's this beautifully positioned place where I'm overlooking the city that I live in, and I'm allowing myself to dream. That chair has become a trigger. Another example is my ritual around working that I need to put headphones on. I usually put EDM music with no words. I want the beat there so it keeps my mind focused, but that ritual, when I do deep work, allows me to get into flow a lot faster. You can use location as triggers. Like when you walk into your office, you can use the door frame as the trigger to remind yourself the kind of work that you're there to do. And it's just these simple mental frames, these identity resets that allows high performers to perform at a level that most people, again, they just go through their life by default. There's no design to it. So one of my favorites is when I sit in my car, every time I have these really cool cars, I'll review my goals list. So I have this list of the 12 goals I want to get done for the year. And I just review them. I ask myself, does my calendar reflect this? Do I feel in the energy of receiving it? And I just go all in, sitting in that car, in that environment, for me, where that trigger allows me to get more done. But if you really want to be insanely productive, you got to change your thinking. Which brings us to rule number 3, systematize everything. Have you ever forgotten to pack something for a trip and like you get to that place and it drives you nuts because like the one thing you needed maybe is your swim shorts or your sunglasses? I don't know what it is, but everybody's got a thing, and it's nothing's more annoying than getting to a place and not having what you expected. Would you find it weird to know that I have a system for packing my clothes? I call it the CEO packing playbook, and I've had it for almost a decade now. The reason why is I don't want to forget things. I want to make sure that if I go on an Ironman race, I don't want to forget my swim cap, or if I'm going mountain biking, I can't forget my clip-on shoes, or if I go snowboarding, I need my toque. Here's a mental quote I want to offer you, is to consider this. If you find yourself doing something more than twice, create a system for it. The coolest part is system stands for save yourself time, energy, and money. Because if you do it once, You don't repeat it. I'm a huge fan of checklists. Again, if you haven't read my book, I talk about it all the time. There's 3 specific benefits from doing them. Number 1 is you eliminate procrastination and confusion. If I have a checklist and I got something I got to get done, I just follow the checklist. It's like if my brain confusion. If I have a specific benefits from doing them. Number 1 is you eliminate procrastination and confusion. If I have a checklist and I got something I got to get done, I just follow the checklist. It's like if my brain has to go and think about what I'm about to do, then I'll drag my feet, like pack my clothes, get some financial processes finished. Checklists help me not procrastinate or be confused and just move forward. Number 2 is it creates consistency. Back in the day, I used to have to check all my different social networks and make sure I responded to emails and make sure that I checked this. And I created a checklist so that I was always consistently on top of all the inbound messages in my life. The coolest part is if you follow a checklist, it also allows you to avoid having to do rework, right? Where you do something and it didn't get done right because you missed a step, and then it's got to come back to you to get done. That's called a defect. And if you want to waste your time and energy, have defects out in the world with your work that then comes back onto your plate, and then you're backed up.
I am the creator of my reality. I accept and love myself just the way I am. I am supported and loved by God, by the Creator, by the universe. I am surrounded by abundance. I am healthy, energetic, and optimistic. I am overflowing with happiness, joy, and satisfaction. My body is relaxed. My mind is calm. My soul is in peace. I am able to achieve whatever I desire. I can achieve greatness. Everything happens for a reason. Everything leads to something positive. I am forgiving. My compassion replaces anger with love. I am able to conquer all the challenges I am confronted with. I am becoming more confident and stronger each day. My potential to succeed is infinite. I am becoming more knowledgeable and wiser with each day. I am creative and bursting with brilliant ideas. I am courageous and overcome my fears by confronting them. I am at peace with my past. I radiate love, happiness, grace, and positivity. I am patient, diplomatic, and tolerant. I am grateful for the wonders in my life. The universe supports me in every possible way. Every experience in my life helps me to grow. Today, I lay the foundation for a wonderful future. I am safe and protected by divinity. I speak kindly of others. Everything I seek can be found within. I set myself free by forgiving myself first and then others. I am significant. I contribute to the advancement of humankind. I love myself and feel great about myself. I accept myself unconditionally. I see problems as interesting challenges. I radiate confidence. Challenges bring out the best in me. I have confidence in my abilities and skills. I make sound decisions. I am bold and courageous. I face difficulty with courage greater than. I am worthy of happiness and love. My heart is always open. I'm kind to every person I meet. I am surrounded by love. I attract kind people. I love unconditionally and without hesitation. I deserve love. I am loved and appreciated by those around me. Everywhere I go, I am accompanied by love. Love, Forgiveness and understanding are the very foundation of my relationships. I give and receive love equally. I accept my partner unconditionally. I am treasured for who I really am. My marriage, my relationship is becoming stronger, deeper, and more loving with every day.
All the inbound messages in my life. The coolest part is if you follow a checklist, it also allows you to avoid having to do rework, right? Where you do something and it didn't get done right because you missed a step, and then it's got to come back to you to get done. That's called a defect. And if you want to waste your time and energy, have defects out in the world with your work that then come.
Wow, what time is 2 p.m. I diet 6 7 18 I diet 18 hours before from yesterday I doesn't eat anything from now. Every time I live stream that I eat that you see I live stream every food I eat every time I exercise. If you don't see I live stream my breakfast, lunchtime or dinner, that means I doesn't eat anything. Okay.
Comes back onto your plate, and then you're backed up, and it just keeps a cycle of like being overwhelmed. I remember when Elon launched his first car, the Roadster, he had so many defects that had to come back into a warehouse. Everybody was freaking out because there was like hundreds of cars that they thought they had delivered to customers, but they were missing the checklist to do the delivery to make sure the car was done, and then it all had to come back for the rework. Number 3 is it allows you to buy back your time. See, at first, you do it, it's your checklist, then eventually a virtual assistant, so they help you out, and now I have a house manager that takes care of all the things in my life. They're the CEO of Martel Family, and they follow checklists that I created first for myself, then for my assistant, and now for my house manager. Here's a pro tip for knocking this out of the park is add checklists and context in your calendar. In the description, you put the checklist in there so that when the notification pops up, you know exactly what you gotta go do. But there's another rule that will make you exponentially more productive, which brings us to number 4, don't repeat yourself. This is one of my favorite philosophies. That my nerdy programming background brings out of me all the time. Most people don't realize that if you're going to do something once, you want to document it so that you never do it twice, and the best way to do that is to use a thing called a stencil or a pattern so that it makes it consistent every time. If I was manually painting all the birds on the wall, it would take me like hours, whereas with the stencil I can get it done in an hour. And that's the difference between doing manual work that you're dependent on a specialist to do versus having a stencil that allows you to get a lot done. So don't repeat yourself. Broke people get good at doing tasks. Rich people get good at avoiding them. Don't repeat yourself. Broke people get good at doing tasks. Rich people get good at avoiding them. In many ways, I'm successful because I don't do things that other people can do, but the only reason I can have them do them for me is because I've created the blueprints, the templates, and the stencils for them to do the work the way I would do it, because I've created that frame. Here's how to not repeat yourself. Number 1, stencils are exponential improvements. Having a template, a blueprint, a structure that other people follow to get the same result is a game changer. Number 2 is having checklists that creates the process. I mean, I have a system for creating systems, which I always thought was obvious, but when I showed my friends, they were like, oh my gosh, Dan, that's so smart. Well, of course Because if I'm gonna create systems, I need a template and I need a process to show people how to do it. So I never have to do it again and it gets done right. It eliminates the steps in the process. Number 3 is packing lists are cool. That's a system. But a stencil is a complete copy. A packing list gives you a checklist so that you don't forget anything like your toothbrush. A stencil says, how about you have a copy of all the stuff in your toiletry bag, and that's a separate bag so that when you do travel, you just grab the bag that you know has everything and put it in your luggage so you absolutely can't forget anything because it's the same thing you took on your previous trip. 4 is an advanced move, but it's using AI to create stencils. So one of my favorite prompts after I'm playing with some kind of AI chat is to ask it to give me the prompt that would generate that specific output. So then I'm asking AI to give me the stencil that I can copy pace in the future to get to that place way faster. But sometimes it doesn't matter how systematized the task. There's something holding you back. And that's where rule number 5 comes in. Call your shot. A while ago, I heard a stat that said that 22 million people in the US are millionaires, but only 3 million have visible ads. It occurred to me I had the first, but I didn't have the second. And if I did, then I'd be kind of a unicorn. So I made this crazy commitment. So I called it Project Visible Abs. Gave myself 90 days, and I went all in. And I will tell you, I thought it was gonna be easy until I hit a plateau. For 3 weeks, I didn't lose any weight. And the crazy part is I had stakes, meaning that if I didn't do it, I had to enter in a fitness competition as is on stage in a freaking Speedo. That's kind of bananas. What made it different for me is I believe in these 3 things. 1, you have to have a clear goal. 2nd, you have a time frame. 3 is you have stakes. So for me, it was entering the fitness competition. Most importantly is I called my shot. I invited my videographer to my house to follow me around to look at the scale, and then I told the whole world, everybody on the internet, this is what I'm doing, this is my timeline, and if I don't do it, then there's public accountability. See, most people don't want accountability because then if they fail, they're going to do it in public. But Stephen Covey used to say all the time, accountability breeds responsibility. If you're accountable for your action, you'll be responsible to do the right thing. So I want to teach you a few big ideas. Number 1 is verbalize your goals to activate them. A lot of people have a vision, they have dreams, they have things they want to do, projects, they don't tell anybody. If you don't talk your goals out loud, it doesn't activate them. Think about all the people that you follow on the internet. They call their shots nonstop. Elon Musk, we're going to colonize Mars. Gary Vee, I'm going to buy the New York Jets. These are things that people that hardly know these people know about them because they don't stop talking about it. Number 2 is they commit to others. They text a friend. They let the person know this is my time frame. Hold me accountable. So they use their peer group not as a negative thing, as a positive thing. I call it a positive peer group, where you then have your friends ask you, how you doing with that? You know, I heard you're trying to do that Project Visible Abs. Is that happening? Being accountable to other people that see you every day and they see you make decisions. You go to dinner with them and they go, hey man, doesn't look like you're doing that thing you told us about. That'll keep you on track. I also learned having other people involved makes it easier for me to stick to. So if I schedule time to go to the gym with my trainer, I'm not gonna quit on him. If it's just me, I'm probably gonna bail if I'm not feeling up to it. Number 3 is competition makes it fun. So not only did I have a stake, if I didn't hit it, I had to enter a fitness competition. If I hit it, I gave myself permission to buy one of my dream cars, a Ferrari Pista, one of the most beautiful in my mind cars. And then it became a thing. And everybody asked me, did you get your car yet? What are you doing? Are you on track? And it was just like a fun experience because I remember the day I hit my goal. I showed up and we made it a whole event and everybody on my team came out to see it and it came out and it was delivered. And I had that car for weeks prior before ever driving it because I wanted to honor the process. Number 4 is make a public commitment on social media. Decide what goal you want to hit, what timeline, post it on Instagram and tag me, Dan Martell, 2 L's of Martell on Instagram. I want to see you make a public commitment to your future. Call your shot. But if you've committed, you still might struggle with spending too much time on things. Which brings us to rule number 6, which is compress the timeline. Anytime I've launched a product, my business coaching, my fitness program, my mindset program, anything. I've announced it before I ever had it built. It's just been my default. I learned a long time ago to default to action. If I have a thing that I want to create, I just have to start selling it. Because most people think about all the things I could do to start it and get ready to start it and da-da-da. And I'm like, the only thing to do is to get a customer, and then that'll be a forcing function to move forward. It actually helps you compress the timeline because it gives you a real feedback loop of what's important and what's just noise. Parkinson's law says work expands to fill the time available. If you ask somebody to get something done, they say, I'll get it done by Friday. Just ask them, can you get it done by Tuesday? I can't do Tuesday. How about Wednesday? Yeah, I could probably do Wednesday. Ding, ding, ding. All of a sudden now people are getting things done a lot faster for you, which means you get more done in a calendar year, which means you make more money. I remember one time I was coaching a private client. They flew all the way to Kelowna for us to sit down for a half day to review their 10-year plan, their big goals. They wanted to build a $100 million a year business over the next decade. And I was like, cool. But then I asked them a simple question. How probable do you feel it'd be for you to accomplish the 10-year goal in 1 year? 1 out of 10, if you had to make it happen, are you confident you could get it done in a year? And everybody replied. There was a few other people, and they all said, probably like a 3 or 4. I said, interesting. I said, could you get it done in a year if you knew at the end of the year, if you didn't hit your goal, that you would lose all of your business, your bank accounts would zero out, and you'd never be able to start another company for the rest of your life? They said, well, now it's a 10. I said, interesting. What changed? Motivation. All of a sudden now, they made it a must, not a nice to have. That's Parkinson's law. The work will expand to the time you give it. Most people are scared to choose aggressive timelines, but what I've learned is work will expand to the time you give it. Most people are scared to choose aggressive timelines, but what I've learned is doing that actually gives you the creativity to force you to come up with the answers. So I'm always trying to find opportunities to create forcing functions. If I can put myself in a situation that forces me to get something done faster by making a commitment to somebody else, or just deciding this is when it's going to get done by tomorrow morning and not delaying it, that creates a better product. Having shorter timeline forces simplicity. You can't overcomplicate it, which is usually the thing that stops people from actually being successful. And it turns out simplicity scales. Most people struggle in business because they do 1,400 different things instead of choosing the 1 to 3 things that actually make some money, that they love to do, that the customer wants. And if you do that, simple scales, complexity fails. The human mind is designed to add complexity, so you got to fight against this. And over the years, I've learned the goal without a deadline is just a dream. It's something people want, they aspire to it, but it doesn't have any meat because there's no timeline. The one thing I do all the time with my team is just ask them, give me a date, give me a date, give me a date. Now all of a sudden I've activated the execution of that project. But here's most entrepreneurs' kryptonite, their phone. You have access to the entire world in seconds, which is why number 7, to be insanely productive, is cut out distractions. Here's a big turn off all your notifications on your phone. Turn them off. I dare you. There was a life before your notifications, before they even built that feature, and there will be a life afterwards. And if you want to save your time, your energy, your focus, turn them off. No more vibrating, no more buzzing, no more screen time. You decide when you go check in. Don't let any person in the world just automatically disrupt your life. Did you know your inbox is nothing more than a public to-do list for strangers on your time? Crazy. Turn them off. A while ago, I had the privilege to be invited to spend a week with Richard Branson at his home in Switzerland. And what I saw was a guy that not only refused to have a phone or have any distractions or have anybody bug them, honestly, was his process for taking all the inbound requests on his time, emails, text messages, everything, and it got filtered through his assistant. Why? Because he only wanted to look and be presented the things that needed his unique perspective. Everything else somebody else could deal with. That changed everything. I saw him do that and I go, wow, now I understand why he has all the time to go skiing with us or do all these crazy PR stunts or charity events. And that's when I changed my whole life. So a lot of people brag about inbox zero. How about zero inbox? That's the way I live my life. It's a whole inbox GPS process. So I break this down into 3 types of distractions. Number 1, digital distractions. These are your phone notifications, the apps, the notification jewels, even having access to Netflix or YouTube downloaded videos when you're trying to get work done and you're like, oh man, I just want to go watch some stuff and reset my brain. Those digital distractions on those devices are the killer of getting anything done. You want to be the most unproductive, have those available to you all the time. You want to have discipline and get rid of the digital distractions. Number 2 are physical distractions. It's everything from having the mental distractions of staring at a messy space to not having headphones on that really dial you in and focus, to having any person just be able to come in and bug you when you're in your focus time. I remember having a client once that used to brag. He says, yeah, I do these things called gas meetings and everybody loves them. And I'm like, what's that? He goes, got a second meeting. Are you serious? What part of working with me made you think that that was a good idea? No. These times throughout the day, you can walk into my office and we have a conversation, but got a second meetings is a distraction. It also tells you that the person doesn't plan well enough and that they're always bugging you to interrupt you when you're focused. Number 3 is internal distractions. And these are things from lacking clarity to having too much stress, feeling the overwhelm. And it usually comes from like not having a vision or not dumping your tasks or not prioritizing anything. That's why like even something as simple as going to the gym for me is about getting my mind right. That's why I always say exhaust the body to tame the mind. That internal distraction, that mind clutter, sometimes needs a rhythm that you have in your life, meditation, writing things down, productivity apps, so that you can do your best work to keep your mind focused on the task at hand. But here's the real truth. If you're struggling to get the work done, you might be missing something else. Which brings us to the last rule. Know your purpose. So this crazy story of a musician named Oliver Anthony. He wrote this song called Richmond North of Richmond. It was about essentially taking a stance. A lot of people tried to use it for politics, but I like the message, I like the energy. And I remember reading his story to find out that he used to live in a trailer park, drove a 20-year-old car, struggled his whole life with addiction and drinking. And here's this moment that shifted everything. And he was on a podcast and somebody asked him, what changed? And he said 2 things. 1, I discovered God. And 2, I stopped making it about myself and I started making it about other people. And when I heard him say that, it occurred to me that I'd seen this pattern in so many people, from Oprah to Elon to everybody that's had success. They stopped making it about themselves. It wasn't to be rich. It was to be rich to be of service. They started to get purpose. If you have a why that's bigger than your fear, then you'll do it. Most people focus on the how when they should be focused on the why. The bigger the why, the easier the how. I mentor a lot of youth and I get asked this question all the time, like, how do I discover my purpose? How do I discover my why? How do I discover my vision for my life? Well, here's what I know. Pain is inevitable. Every human being, by the fact that you're alive, will go through pain. Suffering is optional. The thing that's missing so that the pain doesn't become suffering is purpose. It's the antidote. Find that and it makes the zest for life a lot easier to deal with all the challenges. A way to keep it front of mind is to have a vision board. You know, and I put mine on my phone, I put it on the wallpaper of my laptop so that I have a vision of my purpose, what I'm trying to do and why it matters to me, and all the different components, the personal, the fitness, the relationships, the health, the impact, it's all there. And I review my goals annually, 5 years, 25 years out, every week, every month, and honestly every day for the year. Because I have purpose daily. It's not something I do once and then I forget about it. I just build the plan and put it in a drawer and never look at it. It's something I put all around me. I have a guy in my office, he has it printed out on his desk in a framed envelope. We have our goals on the wall here, you know, and they're all stacked like a ladder so that everybody sees it. If you visualize it, it makes it easier to hit. Most people are trying to hit a target that they don't even know what the target looks like. So one of my favorite ways to do that is make your progress visible. And I'm talking dashboards or habit tracking. You can use apps. You can write it down, keep it old school if you want, but just make sure that you see the progress towards your purpose. Because if you do that, nothing will stop you. In many ways, the way I think about your ability to create and attract your future into your life, it takes 300% focus. You have 100% clarity of what you want to create. And you have 100% belief you can do it. And 100% of the time you believe and have that clarity, that's how fast you can bring it into your life. Now, is it easy? Nope. Is it possible? 1000%. And this is the deeper stuff that sometimes I don't share, is that your true purpose in your life sits right next to the worst thing that's ever happened to you. And if you're willing to explore that, I think you would find a drive that you didn't know was there to support people that have gone through the thing that hurt you the most pain, maybe the most shame you've ever had. Helping other people get through that easier or avoid it could become the most important thing you do with your life. A lot of people talk about happiness. I like to think about fulfillment. I don't want life to be easy. I want it to be challenging to shape me. And my philosophy is two things. I wake up every day to try to be the 10.0 version of myself. The person that is the most connected and graceful and determined and confident. In many ways, I think about becoming the person I needed most in my darkest days, the person I would have listened to. And if you wake up every day to strive to be that person and do the second part, which is to share yourself with the world, and that could be your kids, because that's probably your world, or your community, or your CrossFit gym, or your church, or honestly, I would encourage you to consider social media. As you become your 10.0 version and you share yourself with the world, that is fulfillment. And no matter what happens in the world, you will feel incredible about that pursuit. So as I mentioned earlier, if you want to get started quickly with your perfect week, just head over to Instagram, Dan Martel, 2 L's of Martel, and message me the word perfect on my Instagram account, and I'll send it directly right over to you. And if you want to learn how to get more done than 99% of people, click here to watch the next video. I'm going to share the 13 hacks that can make anyone 99% more disciplined that cost nothing. I'm going to share the 13 hacks that can make anyone 99% more disciplined that cost nothing. These are the strategies that I use to go from distracted, broke 23-year-old with ADHD to consistently crushing every hard task without fail and building a $100 million empire. You can start using these hacks today, even if you lack motivation. So without further explaining it, these are the 13 hacks. Hacks to unlock more discipline. Starting with number 1, cancel your morning alarm. I know a guy who literally had 7 morning alarms. He wakes up, he hits the snooze button. He wakes up again, snooze button again. And he's got a snooze alarm set every 15 minutes. What are you doing? Why are you laying in bed? Do you know what you tell yourself when you do this? Is that life is a snooze. And you're better off just laying there than not getting up and attacking the day. Most of your problems could easily be solved if you just went to bed on time. How do I get up at 4 a.m. every day without an alarm? I just go to bed at 9 p.m. It's not that impressive. I have an alarm to tell me when I go to bed. If you want to wake up ready to, I have an alarm to tell me when I go to bed. If you want to wake up ready to attack the day, if the first decision you get the chance to make is snoozing your alarm, you've just lost the battle. Think about this. If you just delete your alarm, it will force you to think about your bedtime because you got to go to bed at a time where your body will naturally wake up. So instead, set a bedtime alarm. That is different from what you will hear from everybody else. It's more important to go to bed on time and let your body wake you up when it's done resting than for you to wake yourself up out of bed because you don't have a forcing function to go to bed on time. See, if you know you have to go to sleep because your body's going to wake up and you can't have an alarm, it's more important to go to bed on time and let your body wake you up when it's done resting than for you to wake yourself up out of bed because you don't have a forcing function to go to bed on time. See, if you know you have to go to sleep because your body's going to wake up and you can't have an alarm intercept, you won't allow yourself to watch another episode, watch another episode, watch another episode. You will go to bed on time because you have to get the time in for your body to feel restful so that when you wake up, you can attack it. Before we get to number 2, we've got a goal of hitting 1 million subscribers, so if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Which brings us to hack number 2, upgrade your TV to a library. I remember listening to Jim Rohn, who's like the godfather of personal development a long time ago, and he said most people that are broke have bigger TVs than they do libraries. The average person has a 65, 75 bazillion inch TV. My invitation is have a bigger library. Go invest in books. When I buy books, somebody says, hey, you should buy this. Book. I buy that book, every other book the author has. I see what's recommended to me. I have an unlimited budget for my mind. That belief will keep me disciplined and focused on achieving things that most people can't. There's a reason supercar companies like Ferrari and Lamborghini don't run TV ads. Because the people who buy those cars don't watch TV. They don't want to be advertised to. They're out there creating their world, not being sold on living a better world because they're already doing it. Your body is wired for dopamine, and TV is very good at delivering it. And if you get into it and addicted to it, it will take over your life. See, most people that stop me when I'm driving one of my supercars, they ask me, what did you do to become rich? I'll tell you what I didn't do. I didn't sit around watching TV. I fed my mind. I read books. My success is the byproduct of feeding my mind, of going all in on education that nobody made me do. I didn't sit in a classroom, wasn't forced to do homework. I was self-educated because I wanted more for myself. I just think having a bigger library is more important than having a bigger TV, because if you actually focus on educating yourself, that habit will create discipline. Which brings us to hack number 3, turn off all notifications. You may not know this, but the software companies in Silicon Valley are engineering the distraction, and distractions destroy dreams. Even my buddy has a retail store, and we called him at 5 in the morning to ask him a question. He answered the phone, and then he got mad at us for calling him at 5 in the morning. I said, dude, you can put your phone in do not disturb. He said, well, that must be nice for you, but I have a store and the alarm goes through to my phone, so I have to be able to answer it. Okay, so you're the only person in the history of the world that has a retail store that doesn't have your security alarm go to a professional. Most people don't realize that their need to always be in the loop, thumb on the pulse of their business, is actually distracting them from doing deep, focused work and building that discipline muscle. Your goal should matter more than the notifications you're allowed. You should design a life that's more interesting than the social media apps pulling you in to be distracted. The only person who can call me directly is my wife. That is a special setting I set up on my phone. Everybody else, unless I need the call, I put my phone in do not disturb. Instead, what I do is I schedule time to review my messages. I plug in to Slack, to text messages, to missed calls. I decide when I connect. And that's why I don't even do my email inbox anymore. I talk about it in my book, Buy Back Your Time. A lot of people brag about inbox zero. What about zero inbox? Because I learned your email inbox is nothing more than a public to-do list of other people's priorities on your time. Turning off notifications is the key to unlocking discipline because it stops you from being distracted. When you are disciplined and you're in the zone and you're getting work done, having a ping, a vibration, a noise interrupt you is crazy to me. My door's closed in my office. My kids aren't allowed to come and knock on the door. They understand that when I do that, that's a signal to everybody in the home that that's when I go and I do my deep work. And out of respect, unless it's an emergency, please don't interrupt me. You need to do that for yourself. Your focus needs to be protected. Your energy needs to be protected. Your attention needs to be protected. Give it to the work. Which brings us to number 4, hack your algorithm. This idea will probably mess you up, but I spend millions of dollars every year to buy back my time to then get work done throughout the day to scroll social media at night. I probably scroll 3 hours a day of TikTok. Why? Because I've actually curated my social feed to feed my mind. Every video I've liked, I've searched, I've added to it. I'm learning about AI, media, success, and motivation, and my feed is actually a mini university I've designed. Don't let the algorithm drag you down mindless distractions. Curate it. Unfollow people. Don't
look at stuff that triggers you. I think we live in this beautiful world where you can decide who you want to learn from, people that have been there, that are closer to your goals than your current friends, and then you can actually unfollow people and refollow the folks that are going to support you. You're allowed to do this. A lot of you are scared to do it. Just mute them. Just say less of this. Like when something shows up in my feed and I don't want that, I just say give me less. And you can curate your feed that way. It costs you nothing, and it'll change your whole psychology, your focus, your ability to create, your ability to stay disciplined. Just click on those three dots and say recommend posts like this or not interested. Which brings us to hack number 5, master your list. The other day somebody asked me, Dan, do you have a system for? And I stopped them, I said, yes. They're like, you don't even know what I asked. I have a system for packing. I have a system for my food prep. I have a system for travel. I have a system for everything. I have list upon list upon list. Why? Because if I was ever going to do it once, I'm going to write it down so that the next time it's easier on me and I don't forget anything. And as I build them, I can then give them to somebody else so they can do it for me to buy back my time. Checklists are the key to getting more time. Checklists are the way that you stay disciplined in your work so that you don't get distracted by things that you don't have to do. The most disciplined people aren't superhuman. They just write everything down. They take everything in their mind and put it on the list because your brain is not meant to remember things. Your brain is meant to be used to solve massive problems. You want to keep it empty so that the cycles are available, not trying to keep all these open loops going so you don't forget anything. See, your lack of discipline is actually a lack of clarity because it's clogged up and foggy trying to remember all these things that you should just write down. Get it out of your brain. It makes everything else easier. And once you have everything out, it's a sequence of what to attack. And what I've learned is your sequencing equals success. If you get it out of your brain, you put it on paper, and you sort it, and you attack it in the right order, that's how you start to build momentum. Which brings us to number 6, stack your habits. Every once in a while, I'll get a client that comes into my world, and they're like, I want to redesign everything. I want to get this and change my business and do all this stuff, and they literally do everything, and they take massive action because they read about this, but what they really are doing is they're setting themselves up to fail. How many people do you know that like decide to get into fitness and then all of a sudden they go to the gym twice in one day and they start running and then they're not eating properly and then they crash and then they give up? That happens all the time. See, I'm much more of a fan of massive action consistently. I'm more of a fan of saying, hey, let's stack our habits. Let's lock one in, but a big one. Maybe it's nutrition. Maybe it's working out. Maybe it's getting up earlier. But once we lock it in, then we can stack it. Once we plug in one, we can add another one easier once there's built consistency. James Clear said it best. He said, habits are the compounding interest of self-improvement. The best way to actually install a new habit to have discipline long-term is to ask yourself, what do you already do automatically? How can you use that as a trigger and add the new habit to it? Put your new habit beside that one until it becomes automatic. If you have a habit of brushing your teeth and you want to remember to take your vitamins, then take those vitamins and place it next to your toothpaste. If you want to have a habit of reading your book and you know that every morning you grab a cup of coffee, put your Kindle or your book next to the coffee maker so that you grab both at the same time. The highest level of habit is when it becomes your identity. See, I'm pretty sure if you don't smoke, last week you did not tell yourself 14,000 times not to stop and buy cigarettes. Why? Because you don't smoke. And as soon as you build a habit into who you are, that's how easy it becomes. You don't think about it, it's just what you do. So for example, for me, working out daily takes no discipline anymore. Why? Because it's just who I am. Sweat every day has been my mantra for years. I need to work out. If I don't, it's just as weird as walking around not wearing any pants. Like, it's weird. So I work out, I feel better, it's who I am. Habits need to be stacked so that it just becomes your identity. Which brings us to hack number 7, commit to someone. The other day I was at the gym and this guy named Jack on my team came to me and he was like, hey man, I want to produce more content. I said, no you don't. He says, yes I do. I said, prove it. I said, how? I said, you ready for this? He goes, yeah. I said, no you don't. He says, yes I do. I said, prove it. I said, how? I said, you ready for this? He goes, yeah. I said, commit to doing 2 a day. Commit to doing 2 a day. If you do, you get to bring your girlfriend to a spa. If you don't, you have to run a marathon with no prep. And if you do, you get to bring your girlfriend to a spa. If you don't, you have to run a marathon with no prep. And you have to go post on social media and tell everybody about it. And then he shook my hand. That is commitment. he made the commitment to me, he made the commitment to his girlfriend, she wanted to go to the spa, and he made a commitment to all of his friends on social media. There's zero chance he's not going to hit it, and I'm happy to report he's 16, 17 days in, hasn't missed 2 a day, and I guarantee he's not going to miss. Here's why. People will do more for others than they'll ever do for themselves. You'll do more for your dog than you'll do for yourself. I've seen people that gives the dog a prescription, there's 100 days of pills, 2 pills a day, and that person never misses one of those pills for those 100 days. And yet the doctor gives them a prescription for some kind of flu or whatever they got, and they might fill out 75% of it consistently. Having somebody else you're committed to is how you create discipline. Finding a mentor or a coach to hold you, somebody else you're committed to is how you create discipline. Finding a mentor or a coach to hold you accountable, that is the purpose of those people in your life. Scheduling your gym time with a buddy, that's how you ensure you show up, because I guarantee you'll be less likely to cancel on a friend that went out of their way to change their time to match yours so you guys can go get your pump on. The way you build discipline is design the game to be easy to play. If you want to get something done, tell somebody you respect, because then they'll hold you accountable. Which brings us to number 8, clean out your pantry. I believe it's easier to avoid the dragon than to slay it. So many of my fitness clients couldn't stick to the plan. So many of them sabotage. Ate some crap, made bad decisions. And I just kept saying, go into your house, take all the food out of there. Tell your family you need them to be on board for the next 90 days. Stop blaming them. If you need to get a locked cabinet that your spouse has the key to, do that. But I'm telling you, the best way to win in the discipline game is to just avoid having to make the decision. Set the standard in your house, don't have it as an option, get it out of your view, and it'll be way easier for you to pull off. Here's a big idea. Your environment will always win over your willpower. If you want to make good decisions, you have to make good choices, and the only choices are available. It's not hard to have discipline and make good choices if the only choices available to you are good choices. Make good choices, the only choices available. I mean, the same could be applied to your phone. Clean out all the choices, if the only choices available to you are good choices. Make good choices, the only choices available. I mean, the same could be applied to your phone. Clean out all the distractions.
Available.
App, just delete them. Only check your social media on your computer if you have to. Or video games. You're allowed to move them out of your home. Put them at your friend's house. Hey man, I just bought you a new game console, but I'm gonna come over and play it on weekends. Is that okay? Okay, cool. Get it out of your home. It's way easier to avoid the dragon than to slay. Which brings us to hack number 9, make failure painful. This was actually painful, but the best decision I ever made. My first business coach was $1,500 a month. I didn't have the money. I figured if he's so good, within a couple months, he should be able to help me make money to pay for him. But not doing the work was the pain. Not showing up would have been painful. Not taking deep amounts of notes would have been the most costly thing. Not the money. It's not getting the results. That would have been the painful thing. And that's why I set up the game so that the pain is something I don't want to feel, so I'm willing to do the work to avoid it. Most people don't pay, so they don't pay attention. They don't realize that the transformation they're looking for happens at the transaction, because in that moment, they say to themselves, I want to get my money's worth. People will always work harder to avoid pain than to gain pleasure. So here's a few ideas to make sure that it builds your discipline. First off, always have stakes involved. Anytime you make a commitment, you should create a scenario where if you don't achieve it, there's pain in your life. Have the stakes there. Put your money on the line. If you don't achieve it, there's pain in your life. Have the stakes there. Put your money on the line. If you're like, how do I make this painful? I would make a donation to an organization you hate. Maybe it's the opposite political party you believe in or whatever it is. But if you don't achieve the thing you want, then you have to give a large amount of money to that organization. Or you can have some fun and say, hey, if I don't do this, I'm going to give you $1,000. if I don't follow through. I wouldn't even give it to a friend. I would actually give it to an enemy. What if you made a commitment to your friend to give $1,000 to your enemy, somebody you actually despise, if you don't achieve your goal? Do you think you're going to want to do that? No. Hey, number 3, embarrassment can also be a great one. You know, when I decided to do Project Visible app,
embarrassment,
which is 90 days, and I went from like 17% body fat down to 5%. The stakes I put on the line was entering a fitness competition, as is dad bod, no tan, no shaved chest, if I didn't achieve it. Motivated? That's not even the right word. Highly motivated? Oh, and then some. There was 0 chance I wasn't going to hit. I would have sat there for 13 days and not ate any food to hit my goal. Which brings us to number 10, start with the big domino. Most people believe that we build momentum. I think it's a complete lie. I think the best thing you can do is start your day with the hardest problems. That's where you have your most creativity. And it always, for me, goes first in my day. That momentum, though, then gets built to the other stuff. I'm not like trying to do little wins. I'm trying to get a massive win early, and the next biggest one, and the next biggest one, before I deplete my ability to think creatively. The truth is, the hardest task is to stop picking the easiest task. In many ways, people's dreams to a bigger life are usually derailed because there's an easier path to a smaller goal. Most people could have bigger lives if they allow themselves to pick hard things and stick to them, not just take a path that's easier. So how do we do that? We put the big ones first and the other ones just fall into place. In practice, your biggest commitments are first in the calendar. I put them literally in the calendar. I honor my calendar. Sometimes we have this thing, this test, this presentation we have to give in the future, and instead of just attacking the work today, we put it off, and it creates anxiety and frustration, and we're not nice to the people around us, and they don't know why. And you know it's because you're upset at yourself, but you take it out on everybody all around you. That's not fair. Decide to do the hardest thing first and build that momentum in your life. Which brings us to hack number 11, delete useless decisions. You want to take a guess what's in my closet? The blue shirt. A blue shirt. I only wear blue shirts. I have thousands of blue shirts. I have a lot. Why? I don't want to have to think. When I sat down a long time ago and said, hey, I know I get to get dressed every day, I didn't want to have to take any cognitive overhead to actually make those decisions. I decided to wear the same color pattern. With the same clothes, with the same brand, every day. And then that way, it doesn't become decision fatigue. I just believe to decide once, then dream bigger. Make the decision, don't repeat yourself, it's called drive, and then move on to bigger problems. See, most people, they keep making the same little decisions all the time, and they don't have the mental capacity to attack the big stuff. I would much rather you focus your discipline and willpower on important decisions. Jeff Bezos said this a long time ago. He said, when I wake up, I read the newspaper, I putter, and I get to work, and I only have to make 2 to 3 big decisions in the day, and usually before 11 a.m. And after that, I'm good. Those big decisions require your focus. If you take that mind power and that creativity away by making little decisions that you don't need to make, it takes away from your ability to do big things. Pretty much everything in my life, the way I think about it is my existence. Meals, I do meal prep, I eat the same macros. Workouts, I go to the same place, same time. People I interact with, same people. Clothes I wear, my weekly schedule, my rhythm of existence, they're all the same. I've decided to make my decision a while ago, follow the process, if it's not broken, since they're all the same. I've decided to make my decision a while ago, follow the process, if it's not broken, I keep it going because I want to add big things, not get distracted by little things. Which brings us to number 12, find disciplined friends. When I decided to leave my small town and go explore what the world had for me, I also knew I was looking to surround myself with people that were closer to my goals. than closer to me? And that's a big question you should ask yourself. Are the folks you're spending time with going to support you, encourage you, or does it make it harder for you to go after what you want to create? It's interesting because when I think of the list of things that I do to be successful, and then I think of a person's name, I just have to ask myself, does this person make it more likely that I'll do those things or less likely? If it's less likely, why would I involve them in my life at the way I'm doing right now? Maybe I just got to create some space. Maybe I can love them from a distance. I mean, you've heard this before, but you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But the way I think about it is you become the average of the 5 people you allow to influence you. The cool part is you can get influenced by people on social media, as I mentioned, and by other people that you read about that inspire you. Here's what I've learned is discipline is contagious. Being around other people that have discipline, that track their macros, that work out every day, it makes your life to make good decisions so much easier. Now, if that discipline is contagious, being around other people that have discipline, that track their macros, that work out every day, it makes your life to make good decisions so much easier. Now, if that requires you to do a inventory where you sit down and you actually say, here are my goals, what kind of people would I want to spend time with that are going to help me get those goals faster, and then maybe make a list of your current friends and go, is this somebody I see supporting my future?
What I need every single day. I'm heading off to my dream, and I get everything that I damn well please. I don't give a damn if you all listening to me, cause I want it. I'm the only one that really want it. I'm the only one that's really on it. I'm just being honest. I'm just doing everything I promise, cause I want it bad enough that I'ma make it as an artist. And I know I'm not the smartest, and I know I'm not the largest, but I promise you that I'ma be the one that worked the hardest, cause I promise you that I'm just getting started. And I promise you that my skills are getting sharper, so I'ma get started. Can't be guarded. Nah, I don't wanna get retarded. Get the party started. Yeah, get the party started. Yeah, so let me get up on it. Yeah, bitch, you got me fucked up. I don't know what's up. Pour that shit in my cup. We about to turn up. Crank this shit up so loud. It sounds like we're sold out. In front of the whole crowd. We lose control now. Take this shit too personally. Everybody got a different version of me. Everybody gotta be learning from me. Everybody wanna be working with me. And I feel like there's uncertainty and urgency to find out what you wanna be. But honestly, we change our minds constantly. So stop and breathe and find out who you wanna be. My hands steady, I feel ready, but my legs heavy, I don't get it. How come I haven't hit it already? Still working, I'm still learning, I'm still searching, finally earning something, finally turning something called a profit. If I hear you talking shit, don't get caught in it. I'll be popping off and hit your ass, dropping all your shit. Yeah, I promise this, I got promises, you ain't stopping this. Cross my shit, you'll be knocked unconscious, bitch. That's the consequence, I got this, I will not quit. Man, I'm on it, honest, I go launch quick, then I'm gone. It's just a matter of time before I'm over the line and moving under my prime. Just quit my 9 to 5, I'm rocking, they watching, cause it's shocking. Dropping these top 10 songs, so stopping. It's time to live my life, it's time to live my die. Wish I could slow down time and just enjoy the climb.